I really enjoyed this film. I thought every kill, every sequence that was setting up the paranoia really connected with me, because I'm walking around right now when I left the theater. I don't even know what's real right now. I don't know if this review is real. I don't know if I'm real. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. As always, my name is Isaac Joel, and today we're going to be breaking down Paramount Pictures' latest film, Smile 2, the sequel to 2022's film, Smile. This film received a lot of positive reviews from fans, critics. Everyone seemed to have loved the film except me. I wasn't really impressed when I saw the first film. I saw it really late. I didn't even go to see the premiere. I didn't see an advanced screening of it. Nothing like that. I read so many popular reviews on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all my friends were bragging about how great and horrifying this film is. Much like Longlegs, the film that just came out this year, people talked about it and how great it is and how it's the best horror film ever. And when you say things like that, you trigger me. You really get me going, because I am such a big horror fan. I love to be scared. Let the truth be known is that I love to be terrified when I'm watching films. I don't like to be grossed out. I love horror. I love its context. I love the monsters. I love the practical effects, the lighting, the script, everything that comes within the genre I think is so spectacular. Obviously, Alfred Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick, some of the biggest named directors in the horror genre have really stood out to me throughout time. And these are my influences and my inspirations. And so when I hear that the newest, scariest horror film is out in theaters and you need to go see it, oh man, I am running and I'm going to check it out. So I saw Smile, the first one, really late in its theatrical release, probably the last week when it was in theaters. You know what? I'm gonna buy a ticket, I'm gonna go check it out, and I'm gonna see for myself and kind of create my own judgment about the film. I watched the film and I thought it was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I wasn't impressed by it. I wasn't blown away by it. I think for me, horror is kind of like a tricky balance to really connect and get right, I think, for directors and audiences. The first movie, again, directed by the same director, Parker Finn, who does the sequel to this one, and I'm gonna get to it, but I need to build up and kind of give you guys a little bit of context about the first film itself. It kind of had a little bit to do with a therapist and her patient, or a doctor or a nurse. I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember this movie. It was so forgettable right when I walked out of it, because the only thing that I remember was the monster at the very end. The last 5 minutes where this creature emerges and controls itself and pushes itself inside a human being, and it is one of the most disturbing images I've ever seen. And it was a great moment. It really was a great moment. I think the film is a decent movie. I really don't have a lot of critiques or notes about it, honestly, and it's just not memorable for me. I instantly forgot it right when I walked out of the theaters, just because it didn't do anything to me. There was all of this hype about it being the best horror film that once I got to the ride, once I checked it out for myself, I just wasn't impressed. Smile 2 comes out in theaters this weekend and everybody is talking about it. Everyone is comparing it to the first one. I've heard a lot of people say that it is literally a copy and paste repeat of the first film, and that is just horrible. When you have the same director, the same writer, the same studio, everybody coming back, and you're just doing the exact same thing, that's not a really good look for you. I'm happy to say that I watched the film today and I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel like this is a copy and paste repeat, the exact same formula, the exact same film that I got before, because this movie I will never forget now. You really have outdone yourself, Parker Finn. If you are watching this review, I want you to know that this movie completely impressed me and completely changed my viewpoint. I have to go back and rewatch the first film. I loved how the second movie, Smile 2, perfectly connects with the first smile. The opening scene in this film is what instantly hooked me. If it wasn't for this opening scene, I'm telling you right now, I probably just would have completely ignored this movie the entire time. Probably just would have been on my phone scrolling, because nobody was in the theater when I went to go see this. I was completely by myself. I caught an early screening showing because I really wanted to be there and immerse myself and just kind of see for myself what this movie was without an audience reacting to it. I wanted to see how I was going to react to it genuinely. This movie terrified me. It shocked me to the core, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I almost really regret watching this movie during the day when I should have watched it late tonight, but I had to hurry up and record this review and get it out to you guys as soon as possible, because I am doing these reviews much more often now. But in the case of Smile 2, this movie was absolutely close to perfection, if I may say so. In my own opinion, it was really close to just being really perfect. I have my complaints. I have a lot of critiques and notes more about this film than I did about the first one, but I think that's a good thing. I really feel like if I'm critiquing a movie, if I'm talking about it, even if I'm giving it a low score, even if I'm giving it a 4 out of 10, a 6 out of 10, no matter what it is, it has my undivided attention. This film reminded me of The Shining. I know that's a little bit of a stretch because those are two different films, different directors, different styles, different generations, those films. But they reminded me of the sense of paranoia that you have. You don't know what's real and what's fake. In Smile 2, the main actress, Naomi Scott, who I really want to highlight, is so phenomenal in this movie. I have seen her in Charlie's Angels. I've seen her in Aladdin. I've seen her in other films besides this one. She's a good actress. She proved to me in this film that she is a phenomenal actress. If you need any reason to go see Smile 2 this weekend, it's because of Naomi Scott. She elevates the entire script, the performance, to a degree that I just didn't really know that she could handle. Every scene that she is in and that she's portraying as this character who is dealing with so much trauma, so much baggage from her past, and a lot of things are her fault. It's her fault that she's in the position that she's in. It's her fault that she's addicted to pills, addicted to alcohol, and it's her fault that she's having to recover, and it's her fault that she lost the love of her life in a horrible car accident. The movie opens on Drew Barrymore talking and explaining exactly who Naomi Scott's character is in the film. I really despise in any film when they bring real talk shows into it just so it can feel absolutely real. You know, sometimes they'll bring Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Conan O'Brien. In this case, they have Drew Barrymore. And I just want to say that I am not a fan of the Drew Barrymore show. I've seen it. I don't like it. It's really like I cringe when I see any minute of those interviews. After this film gives you one of the best opening sequences of the year, it goes into this awful Drew Barrymore segment. And I hate in films whenever the main character walks in the room, they are the first person that is on the TV. The TV is always talking about them. It's always projecting about them. The world is always surrounding them. And I just don't think that's believable. I understand that you're a celebrity. I understand that you're famous and everybody knows you. But I don't think when you walk in the room and you click on a remote, the first thing that's going to turn on is news all about you and what you did X amount of years ago. That's just completely unbelievable. The opening in this film is a one take, I believe. I'm not quite sure. It feels like a one take. There could be cuts in there, but the whole one take idea and style to really hook in the audiences, and it perfectly connects in with the first film. It has a transition between the first and the second one of where the parasite is going next. Now, if you're unfamiliar of the Smile movies, there is a parasite, a demonic possession figure that is out there that possesses people, and the only way it works is it tortures its victims for a certain amount of time, really not that long, maybe 2-3 days. I think at that point that's even a long time. But after it's had its fun, it eventually crawls inside the body and will kill itself, murder the person in front of other people. Now, if it does it in front of someone, it continues on. The possession will continue on. It is literally a parasite, and it needs to be witnessed in order for it to live on. Now, this film is the first attempt where they want to try and control it, to kill it, to end it. And I loved that about this film, because there's always this idea with these monsters is that, like, you cannot destroy it. They are inevitable. Once they hook and latch onto you, that's it. You're done. And you're kind of just waiting for the clock to run out. To a certain point, that is what this movie is. You are just waiting for the clock to run out, but it's the journey that makes it so interesting and fascinating to watch. I was at the edge of my seat with this one. I really was just so nervous and paranoid throughout the entire film, because I myself did not know what was real and what was fake. Now, the movie does this thing where she blacks out, she doesn't know what she's doing, and she kind of commits these acts that she doesn't remember later. This seems to be like a new element added onto the film. I don't remember if this was apparent in the first one. It kind of feels like cheating to me. The fact that the monster is able to kind of trick them and make them think that they're doing something, and then they're not actually doing it, and they're taking away time from them. They make them feel like days have just went by, like they're sleep deprived. To me, that's a little bit cheating. I feel like the demon is kind of stepping outside its own rules, its own boundaries in this film. But how it makes the audience feel is you really are connected with Naomi Scott's character. Everything that she is going through, that she is suffering, the audience is suffering through it. This film features Ray Nicholson, Jack Nicholson's son, and he plays a very small role in this film. I believe he's her love interest, and they got into this horrible car accident that she is partially to be blamed for, and she's haunted by his death. And now that she is attached to this parasite, it's more present now than ever. I can't honestly say I've ever even seen a Ray Nicholson movie. I was completely unaware that this guy was an actor or even existed, but he is on my radar now. I'm going to be looking out for any other projects that he's attached to, because he really has the same energy that his father had, but he can do his own thing. This reminds me of Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell, his son, and kind of the dynamic that they have as father and son. Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid, the list kind of goes on and on. I really enjoyed this film. I thought every kill, every sequence that was setting up the paranoia really connected with me, because I'm walking around right now when I left the theater. I don't even know what's real right now. I don't know if this review is real. I don't know if I'm real. And I love when a film can really stress that to its viewer. It can connect to you and latch itself onto you. This movie in itself is a parasite. This film reminds me of forbidden horror. Those movies that you just are forbidden to watch, that you should not look at that, because if you do, you just might attract some evil presence. Now, people actually believe in this theory that if you watch those movies, that you can actually bring something home with you. Now, I don't know if you believe in that or not, but this movie definitely falls into that category of something that my mom would tell me growing up, like, you better not put that on the TV late at night or I will throw you out this house. You will not bring a demon in my home. That is this movie. If you watch this, this is literally forbidden. Like, you are cursed after watching this movie. You just can't get the smiles out of your head. And whenever you go to the store or restaurant, you're constantly going to be looking around and feeling like, oh my God, is the monster here? Is it going to get me? I wasn't expecting them to show the monster again. They didn't need to with this film. I didn't need them to do exactly what they did with the ending and the final act of the first one. They kind of do that, but not really. Now, I don't want to spoil the ending of Smile 2. You really should go check it out. I highly recommend that you see it this weekend. However, I do kind of want to touch a little bit on the ending because, and I mentioned it before, Naomi Scott's character is suffering these blackouts where she has no idea what's going on and she's losing time. And at a certain point, she's on a mission to literally try and destroy and end this demonic figure. And you're rooting for her. You believe that she can do this. But it's a last minute kind of twist where not everything that you've been watching throughout the whole film, not even partial of it, but the whole film, you're now questioning, was any of that real? It's kind of like the Inception top that continues to spin, like, wait a second, what was real, what was not? And you have to go back and reevaluate exactly what you just experienced. I had a theory that the monster was smarter, and this movie really showed me that. This movie proved the monster isn't just trying to kill people. It's not there just for sensationalism or shock value. It actually has an end game. It has a bigger goal, the world, and I think that was a good choice. I thought it was such a brilliant choice, making the parasite attach itself to a celebrity, someone who's famous and has a massive reach to people. And the second she gets on stage, what is she going to do? Can she corrupt other people? Can this attach itself to everyone around the world, or is it just one host at a time? I have a lot of questions at the end of this movie. I'm not trying to get anything away. I really think you should check it out for yourself, but I have a big question for this one. Can they even make a sequel? Like, they clearly showed that they want to franchise Smile, that they want to make more movies, and I think they can. But the ending that this film gives me, I really question, how are you ever going to find an opportunity to come back into the Smile universe? I feel like with Smile 2, it is the conclusion of that story. Like, there is nothing else that needs to be told or even seen at this point from this universe, and that's kind of hard for me to say, because after watching this movie, I would have loved to seen more movies from the director. But I feel like this is just a closing chapter. Like, I have closure. I don't need to see any more. I think this is a performance of a lifetime for Naomi Scott. And I really think that you will be terrified when you watch this movie. It is absolutely cursed. I'm going to rate Smile 2 8 out of 10. The paranoia was phenomenal. I really was scared and at the edge of my seat the entire time. I think Naomi Scott really gave a strong performance, stronger than she has ever done in her entire career. The story is very complex. There's a lot more layers going on. The cinematography, the music, the soundtrack, everything seems perfected this time around. There were some things that really didn't work for me, especially the ending. I love the ending, but I don't understand and see how that is going to impact the Smile world. And I think they really elevated the script this time around. This is the perfect version of the first film. This is probably what they should have done from the beginning. I would love to see future Smile films at this point. In the beginning, I really was not interested in seeing any more movies from this director. At this point, I am totally convinced why people love Smile. I'm very curious to hear what it is you think about Smile 2. Do you have plans to check it out this weekend? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. My name is Isaac Joel. I'll catch you next time.